Okay. Hey, and welcome to AI in Action. I'm so excited about this. It's been a while, years, in fact, since I have done a live training series. And when I was speaking with my AI assistant, actually, who was actually pushing back against me and doing this training and being like, do you really have time to do an hour training every single day with everything else that you have on? I had to think about it because my AI assistant is actually programmed to push back on me on stuff because I tend to put too much on my plate. But I sat and thought about it and I thought, like this is the environment that I actually really love to be in. This is the environment that I thrive in. This is how I think I do my best work. And on top of that, I just really enjoy it. Like, I really enjoy seeing your amazing faces. I really enjoy the interaction. And I feel like I always have so much to say about a topic that it's very difficult for me to get it out in like a 2 hour training. So I'm like, you got me for like at least 7 hours this week. So hopefully, like, we'll cover some good ground. Those of you that have been in my world for a while have probably done multi-day trainings with me in the past. So you kind of know how that goes. But I'm really excited to see what unfolds over this week. And I have some things that I want to share with you that nobody else in the AI space is really talking about. And so every day we are going to talk about some stuff that isn't being talked about anywhere. And then we're going to also be giving you some practical information and work that you can actually implement here on the call and after the call that you're going to be able to go out and use in your business. So I want to just go over a couple of housekeeping things first and really fast. So there is a Facebook group. If you have not joined the Facebook group, please do that. That is where all of the replays are going to be posted. And I'm just going to grab the link for you guys really quick and drop it in the chat here. So the replays will all be posted there. In that group, there is also a post in the featured post section that has a thread where you can put a address that you can access a Google Calendar with. So there is a Google Calendar for this event. The calls are happening at different times, as I said, because I want people who are in Europe to be able to not have to be on at 2 in the morning. So there are most of the calls are happening at this exact time every day, but I think there are two or three that are happening at my 8 p.m., I believe, which is will be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, but best to just sign up for the Google Calendar. We'll get you added. And then that way you'll literally be able to see it in your calendar exactly what time the call is on and happening. I will be sending out an email every single day after the call happens with the workbook again for the day, the call replay, what we're covering the next day, and the workbook for the following day so you can get that downloaded and have it ready and available. But all of the resources will be kept inside the Facebook group. So if it's good to be in there because you can just go there, watch the replay straight away, or watch the call again if you're wanting to. If you're doing homework and you're like, oh, what did she say in that one part? You could go back in and watch the call from the Facebook group, and then the workbooks and everything will be in there as well. So definitely want to be there. And then I'll also be sending you emails and email reminders and so on. So I think that's all the housekeeping stuff that I need to cover as far as that goes. We'll be on the same Zoom link every single call. So just save that one. And that's the one that you'll log into regardless of what time we're having it. All right. Any questions before we kick off or we get started? We've got 2 people in Europe on here. I'm very impressed with you guys. Okay, well, let's do this thing. So I'm first and foremost, I understand that we all have incredibly busy lives. And so I really just want to say thank you for investing two of your most precious resources, your time and your energy here with me. I am so happy and I'm so thrilled that you are here. I feel such an incredible sense of urgency around what's happening in the AI space, and was pleasantly surprised this morning to wake up and see that almost 100 people had registered for this event. So I'm really excited about that. I hope that we have, another 50 or so that join us by the end of the week. And that means that there are, at least 100 people that are going to be better equipped to deal with what is coming in this crazy and I think amazing technological revolution that we're in the middle of. So before we get too much further into this, I really just want to tell you like what this week is and what this week isn't. Because there's a lot of AI trainings out there in the world right now. And most of them fall into two categories. There's the AI is going to take your job, panic now, like the world is about to end group, right? And then there's the here's 47 prompts you can use to change your life and business crowd, right? So we all see these posts. Like you have to be living under a rock to not see these two camps out on the internet right now. Um, I'm not in either of those, and this training is not in either of those. This week for me is about building. And it's about equipping, it's about discernment, it's about education, and it's about building. I want you actually building this week. I want you literally interacting with AI, making decisions, and using things in your business that you will use the second we're done here. And that's the part I think that's most important to me. So every single day this week, you're going to leave this training with something concrete, not just a bunch of notes in a notebook that you're never going to look at again. Okay. Not just inspiration that's going to get you excited in the minute, in the moment while you're on the call. And then when you get back to your life, you're going to be like, oh, I'm too overwhelmed. I can't do anything with that. I like it's about you having something that you can actually, it's why it's called AI in action. We're going to be taking action. Okay. So here is, I'm going to just review the arc of the week and why it's actually structured the way it is. So each day builds on the one before it. So showing up matters, okay? And if you can't watch a call live, we will try to get it up as quickly as possible. And you'll have at least 24 hours and sometimes longer than 24 hours in between the calls to catch up. Now, having said that, they are going to build on each other. But what I don't want you doing is being like, I missed a call, so I'm just not going to get on the other ones. If you don't have time to watch a replay, still show up on the calls that you can show up on and then catch up after. Excuses are, the thing that keep us from bringing things into fruition in our life and from really being able to execute on things. So please don't let that stop you. Having said that, you're going to get out of this week what you put in. So show up for yourself. Take this hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how many questions we have a day, and make a commitment to actually be here and absorb this information, because I can promise you, if you do that, your life 6 months from now is going to look entirely different from the person who didn't. And we're going to talk a lot about the compounding effect of AI and what's happening in the marketplace right now. And I think you'll have a really good understanding of that by the time we're done with this week. So today is day one, obviously, and we are going to be talking about the architect mindset. This, I think, is the most important part of the week because it's actually going to lay the foundation. This is a place and a way that you actually need to switch in how you're interacting with AI. And we're going to shift how you think about AI entirely today. We're going to map where AI should actually be doing the work in your business. And you're going to literally leave here today with a workflow blueprint. And then tomorrow, we're going to be talking about your voice being the asset. This is something that I'm really, really focused on right now. I'll be telling you about my AI writing guardrails as we move through the week, and I'm going to take you through creating a piece of that tomorrow. This is one of the things that nobody's teaching. Lots of people are like, oh, here's how you teach AI to write like a human, but nobody's teaching this is how you personalize AI to actually speak like you. So I'm excited for this day. We're going to extract and document your voice fingerprint. We're going to do that live, and you'll leave with a reference document that protects your authorship going forward. In the age of AI, authorship is going to become so incredibly important. I'm actually partnering, Sean and I are partnering with a man right now in something that's really exciting to me that's going to help people be able to authenticate whose voice is actually coming through AI generated content. That's going to become a big thing in the future. So authorship is very important. Day 3, we're going to talk about prompting. So we are going to do some prompting in here. I know that everybody loves prompting, but prompting is useless if we don't protect authorship and we don't protect our voice. Okay. So we're not going to be teaching prompt tricks in this week, but we are going to help you establish a framework for getting output that actually reflects your values, your voice, and your standard of delivery. And that's something that's really important to identify and to create consistency in when you are generating AI assisted content. So you're going to build a personal prompt library of 5 core prompts that are tailored to your actual business. We'll do that on day 3. Day 4 is the discernment filter. This one I think is incredibly, incredibly important. We're going to talk about discernment with AI use, period, and in general. And we're also going to talk about discernment in figuring out which tools to use, because hundreds of AI tools launch every single week. So we're going to run through a live evaluation framework together, and you'll know when you leave exactly what belongs in your stack and what to cut based on what you're actually doing with AI. Okay. And it's going to be different for all of you, right? Because everybody's doing something slightly different. Day 5 is content without compromise. So again, we're going to talk about discernment. We're going to talk about authorship. We're going to talk about standards. We're going to talk about your values. We're going to talk about how you're using AI in your actual life. And then we're going to start with one idea, and we're going to build a full week of content live using AI as infrastructure. But you're going to literally leave with content that sounds like you and is ready to publish. And then day 6 is going to be about leverage over labor. So the majority of people out in the space right now are using AI to do more work faster. And that's still just doing work. And so that is one of the ways that I really want you to shift your mindset this week. So we're going to map one recurring task in your business and build the automation logic around it on that day. Day 7 is the long game. So this is where we take everything that we learned all week and we start thinking about what to protect, what you should be building, and what to watch over the next 3 years, because this is the critical point in the development of AI. You're going to build your own personal AI governance document, and you'll leave with a 90-day action plan. So that's what we're doing. We are literally taking action this week. And I want to just say this because I know that there are, literally just looking at who registered for this event, there are people in every single industry, in every single walk of life. Okay. So I don't care whether you are an HVAC engineer, or you're a plumber, or you're an electrician, or you're a content creator, or you're a network marketer, or you're the CEO of a company, or you are an executive assistant working in corporate America. Like, this week is going to have something for everyone because you are going to be personalizing it to your life. One of the things I want, or you're a stay-at-home mom, okay? AI is going to replace things in your life faster than you can keep up with. And so we have to understand how it works and how to implement it in our lives in a way that aligns with our values. And the stay-at-home mom might be sitting there thinking like, I'm not really on the computer that much. I don't know how I'm going to use AI in my life? Well, I can tell you that there's a million things that AI can be helping you with in your day to day, what you're executing in your day to day life that would free you up to spend more quality time with your children, more quality time with your spouse. So that is the viewpoint that we're going to take. We have ministry leaders that are participating in this call. And I know that discernment and authorship is really, really important in that space. So we are going to be focusing on that. And many of you are going, I'm in ministry. It depends on me. I have to be the one showing up. It has to be my face. It has to be my voice. Yes, true. And there are a million things that are happening in the background for you that you're probably not even aware of, that turning over those things to AI helps you actually be able to show up in more of that ministerial role when you're working directly with human beings. So, I'm very excited. Obviously, you can tell. I'm excited to get into this. So let's do it. Any questions before we? I also really like interaction, so don't feel like you can't ask questions all along the way. There will be a Q&A portion at the end. And as we're moving through the actual work that I'm having you do during the call, like feel free to just take your mic off, ask a question. It's intended to be interactive, okay? Any questions? No questions? No questions? Okay, cool. We're going to move into the architect mindset. So I know that you may be looking at me and being like, oh my gosh, like she just hit the ground running with AI and she's had it all figured out from the beginning. I didn't, okay? When I first started using AI, I was horrible at it. And I don't mean like horrible in like I was still learning horrible. I mean like I was doing everything completely wrong. So I would open ChatGPT and I would be like, write me a caption for this thing. And then it would give me an output and I would be like, that sucks. Like, that's horrible. I would never say that and I would never publish that. Right. And so then I would like try to tweak the prompt slightly and I'd get something back that would only be like slightly better. And then I'd spend like 45 minutes actually rewriting the whole thing. And at the end, I would be frustrated because I'd be like, I could have just written that whole thing myself quicker in 15 minutes and been done with it. Right. So literally, I was doing more work when I started using AI than if I just done it myself. And I know that this is a place a lot of people get to and they get frustrated. And so literally they just stop using it. And while it's happening, it's like, why isn't this working? Everyone's talking about how much time AI saves. And literally it just cost me 30 minutes more than it would have if I had just done it myself in the first place. So it actually took me a while to figure out what was happening. And I wanted to blame the tool. Like I wanted to be like, it's just not that advanced. It just doesn't work that well. But the reality was like, I was treating it like a vending machine. Like I was treating it like it was full of all of this amazing stuff that it was meant to be outputting. And I just had to be like, give me something amazing. And it was going to deliver that. And that is how most people use it. And if they're not using it simply like a search engine, they're putting in these generic prompts and getting out generic answers. So that's really what I want to fix today is that mindset. So the core shift that I actually want you to sit with for a second is that there are two types of people using AI right now. There are users and there are architects. So a user opens AI and asks a question, and then they wait to see what comes back. And if it's good, cool. And if it's not, they try again. So they are in a reactionary relationship with the AI tool. AI is leading that interaction and they are responding to it. So that's a user. An architect opens AI already knowing what they need. They have already figured out the standard that they are expecting the tool to meet, and they have already identified the role that AI is going to be playing in that interaction. So they are directing, they're leading the interaction. And AI responds to them. By the way, you guys, you can take notes. Feel free to take notes. I will be sending a summary document to everyone with the major points that we covered. So don't feel like you need to furiously take notes. Definitely be present. And then if there are things you want to write down, for sure, write them down. But I actually have the AI assistant on here. So we will literally create like a summary document that I'll send out to you that will have the high level, the high points of what we talk about today. Okay, so you have somebody who is reactionary and the tool is leading them, and then you have somebody who's directing and who is leading the tool. So we've got the user and we've got the architect. So I want you to be honest with yourself right now. Which one are you? Because most of us start as users. And there is no shame in that, okay? But if you stay there, if you stay in that place of user, you are going to spend the next year generating mediocre content. You might be generating content faster, but you're going to be generating mediocre content and wondering why AI isn't delivering on the promise that everyone is making about it. This mindset, the architect mindset, is the foundation for everything else that we are going to do this week. So if you don't get this now today, then day 3, when we're talking about prompting, you're not going to be able to get the fullness of it. The content system that we do on day 5, it's not going to work. Okay. This is the thing underneath all the other things. And I do just want to, I know we've spoken about prompting a little bit, but I know that some of you are here for prompts. I know that some of you are like, I really want to crack this prompt thing. I really want to figure out how to talk to AI. And it is important. There are a million people on the internet right now selling the perfect prompt template. And I don't want you to think that prompts don't matter, because they do. They actually really do. But a perfect prompt without the correct mindset isn't going to generate the correct content, or the correct workflow that's actually going to save you time in your life. So I've watched people with like the most amazing, sophisticated prompts produce content or workflows that don't work or fall flat or get no engagement with their audience because they literally didn't know what they were building before they started. And then I've seen people with the simplest prompts that you think wouldn't create anything good produce work that looks like a whole entire team was behind it, because they walked into it knowing exactly what they needed and exactly what they wanted. So this piece around being the architect matters. The techniques come after. And so that's why I'm really stressing this today. Okay, so now we're going to build. So make sure you've got your pen, make sure you've got your paper. If you've got your workbook, amazing. And so there are 3 questions that you are going to become your like AI Bible now. Okay, like you are not going to do anything without these 3 questions from now on. These are 3 questions that literally like you're going to want to write on a sticky note and post on your desktop or post on your laptop, because every time you interact with the tool, you're going to be asking these 3 questions. Eventually, these are going to become second nature to you, but for a while, like you're going to really need to like have these somewhere where you can see them. Okay, so before you open any AI tool, you're going to answer these 3 questions every time. Okay, every time. Question 1, what is the specific outcome I need? So like I need content isn't an answer. Okay, content for what? For who? In what format? What's the goal? So a great specific question to ask to go in with would be, I need a 300 word email to my list introducing my new offer. It's focused on the problem it solves. It has a CTA, call to action, that leads to a sales page. Like that's specific, okay? AI can work with that. Write me an email gives AI literally nothing to aim for. And what AI does is it pulls from it has millions and millions of input that it can pull from, okay? And it is always going to pull from what I call the generic middle. So if you say, write me an email, it's going to pull from all the resources it has and it's going to give you the average. It's going to give you the generic. It's going to give you the middle. And this is why most people end up doing 8 or 9 rounds of revision on AI output because they wanted something specific, but what they got was something generic. So you have to get better at defining what you actually need before you start. So that's the first thing. What specific outcome do I need? Question 2 is what standard does it need to meet? And this is the one that almost everyone skips. So even those that are being specific about what they need, skip the standard. And they just literally take whatever AI gives them and then they try to work with it. But you have a standard. You have a standard in your life that you do everything by, right? Every single person does. You have a voice. Your business has a voice. Your audience expects a certain standard from you because that's what you deliver to it. They expect a certain energy from you, right? And your content is the same. It needs to land a certain way. So if you don't tell AI what your standard is, then again, where is it going to default? The generic middle. The standard of the average of every single input that's been put into it. And generic does not build trust, you guys. Okay. It doesn't build connection and it definitely does not build revenue. So your standard is stuff like, does it need to sound like me? And in sounding like me, what is this thing that I'm creating? Is it my professional voice? Is it my writing voice? Is it my speaking voice? Does it need to be conversational? Is it for someone brand new, or is this for somebody that's been in my sphere of influence for a long time? Does it need to be, like I said, like warm and conversational, or does it need to be sharp and direct, or does it need to be educational, or does it need to be more informational? And one question I think that people often don't consider when they're even considering standards is what would make this fail? What would make this not work? What would make this not land? That goes into your standards as well. So question 1, what's the specific outcome I need? Question 2, what is the standard it needs to meet? And question 3 is what role is AI playing right now? So this is where it gets practical, okay? So for every task that you do with AI, it's playing one of 3 roles. The heavy lifter, where it's doing about 80% of the work and you do 20%, like the final, right? So this is stuff like first drafts, brainstorming, reformatting something that you've already written. And then you're just literally like reviewing and refining in the end. So that's the heavy lifter. Then you've got the thinking partner. And a lot of people actually do this part fairly well, but this is like where you're the one generating the ideas and making the decisions, but AI is actually helping you organize, expand, or stress test the ideas. So these are things like strategy sessions or outline development or working through a problem that you have, okay? Then there's the mechanical worker. So we've got the heavy lifter where it's doing 80%, you're doing 20, the thinking partner where you're brainstorming together. And then there's the mechanical worker. And this is like reformatting a document or summarizing something long. Like I'm often taking to my autonomous AI agent a YouTube video now and being like, hey, use summarize and tell me what this is about because I don't have the hour to watch the video, right? I need you to give me a summary that I can read in 5 minutes. So summarizing something long, pulling structure out of messy notes. So I often will be like writing in my, what's that thing called that I use? Oh my gosh, I just left my brain. What's my little like, digital notebook thing that I use? My Remarkable. I'll write in my Remarkable and then I'll just like take a picture of my notes that are like, I don't even know how it can read it because they're so scribbly, but I'll take a picture of my notes and upload it into AI, right? Pull structure out of this. Like this is just me writing and brain dumping and thinking, or like maybe I'm taking notes during a meeting and I'm like, pull the structure out. AI companion in meetings is another amazing thing that you can use where it's just like I'll like take all the notes from the AI companion and I'll upload it into my Claude and be like, okay, give me the summary of this. What do I need to know? What are my takeaways? So pulling structure out of something else, that's not like a collaboration between you and AI. That's like a delegation, something that you would give to an assistant, right? It's a worker. It doesn't need your judgment. It doesn't need your voice. It doesn't need your instruction apart from like, just go do this thing. So you've got the heavy lifter, the thinking partner, and the mechanical worker. And when you know what role AI is playing, you know how much of you needs to be in the process, right? So heavy lifter tasks need heavy review from you. Thinking partner tasks, you have to be actively engaged in, right? Mechanical tasks just need your quick instruction or a quick check from you. So I think the mistake that most people are making when they're using AI from this aspect is that they're treating everything like a mechanical task. So they're literally like handing it over, barely reviewing it, and then taking the output and running with it, whether that's publishing something or just doing what it says. And then they're wondering why they're getting generic outputs or why you scroll your Facebook feed and literally every person's post sounds exactly the same. It's the exact same sentence structure. It's the exact same lengths. It's the exact same languages. It's the exact same like AI slop, right? Okay, so right now, I want you to think about the last time you used AI. What role was it playing? Did you know which role it was playing when you started? Or did you just open the tool and start typing? So be honest. Like literally the gap between I just started typing and I knew exactly what I needed when I opened, that's what we're closing today. So just take a minute, think about the last time you used AI. Was it playing the role of the heavy lifter where it was creating something for you and then you were doing a heavy review at the end? Was it a thinking partner that you were brainstorming with? Or was it a mechanical worker? And did you know what your intention was when you went to use it? So write that down. Okay, so we've got, I didn't know what role it was playing. I thought it was a thinking partner, but it was a heavy review. Okay, cool. I knew what I needed. Systavic AI is my mechanical worker. Yes, I knew my intention. Perfect. Amazing. Most recently as a thinking partner to give me more resources about technology learning. Okay. Thinking partner. All right, cool. And did you know when you sat down exactly what role you wanted it to play? My nose is itching. All right, so now we're going to go a little bit deeper. And this is going to be the part where you're going to map your actual life. And I said life on purpose there, okay? Not just your business, your life. We need to start thinking about AI in terms of everything we're doing, not just business or content, okay? And we already talked about this. I mean, literally, like the people that are in this room right now, I can see are some of you are content creators, some of you work for organizations or companies, some of you are network marketers, some of you are affiliate marketers, some of you are in ministry. Some of you are in a 9 to 5 and you've got a side hustle that you're trying to build on the side that you want to actually create like passive revenue or another revenue stream from. And some of you are moms, right? That have a very heavy duty schedule at home. And you're trying to figure out how to build income around nap times or school pickups or extracurricular activities. So, and some of you literally are like administrators or like executive assistants in companies that are like, there has to be a way to make my day less insane. So we're going to do a workflow audit right now. And it's for every single one of those situations. And because the categories are literally the same, whether you're running a business, looking to start a side hustle, running a household, running a ministry, like literally, or just trying to build something new, or just like trying to figure out what you could actually do with AI, right? So I want you right now to think about your week, your whole week, okay? Not just your work hours, but and not your ideal week. Okay, like we're being honest here, not the week you post about on Instagram or in your highlight reels, like your actual, real, messy, how did I actually survive it week? Okay. And I want you to write down everything you spend time doing. I'm going to give you some time to do this right now. So this is your like personal tasks, your work tasks, your side hustle tasks, your household management, content creation if you're doing that, emails that you send, admin that you're doing, meal planning, shopping, um, what else? Research that you do during the week, the scrolling that you do during the week that you would call research. Okay, remember we're being honest here, guys. Like, how much time are you doom scrolling in the name of like, I'm researching for my business? Scheduling that you're doing, follow-ups that you're doing with people, volunteer commitments that you might have, the organizing that you're doing or the reorganizing that you're doing that feels productive, but literally is changing nothing at all, right? If you're working a full-time job and you're building something on the side, you need both of those things on this list, okay? The 9 to 5 tasks and the after-hour tasks that you're doing. Because that's your actual real operating reality, and we need to see the whole picture. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes and I want you to just brain dump whatever you can. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to think of all of it right now. This is something that you can definitely come back to, and I want you to come back to. So I want you to come back and I want you to really think about these categories. But right now, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. So really think about it and just start writing everything down. It doesn't need to be in order, like whatever you're thinking of, write it down. So you got 5 minutes, go. Can I give examples of what would go into each category? I mean, yeah. So, for example, like I have to come up with a menu every week for my husband, who is primarily carnivore. I need to come up with my husband and I, we're both animal based. And I'm very lucky to have a chef, but I still have to come up with the menu. And then I got to figure out what Jack's going to eat. So that's one thing that I'm doing, right? Another thing is I have 3 blogs I have to publish every single week to Substack. So um this you're just dumping everything, like right now you're just dumping every single thing. Oh, or were you asking about, I don't know, Sarah, maybe you were asking about the other thing. You were asking about the Were you asking about the categories of or the classifications? Sorry. I just barely saw the question, but I think maybe you said it before. Yeah, so Christopher's writing his stuff, so good examples there that you can look at. Oh, you're jumping ahead. Don't look at the categories now. Right now, all you're doing is you are writing down everything that you do during your week. You're jumping ahead in the workbook. Now it's just a brain dump. Got 3 more minutes. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the categories. Um, And if you have your workbook open, you can see there. So on this list of things that you have just outlined, you are going to now put these things into three categories. So category one is tasks that require you. Okay. You have to be in them. So they require your voice, or they require your judgment, or they require your actual presence. So these are things that only you can do. And I know if you're like me, you're literally looking at the list and you're like, I have to do all of them. This is a trap that we get into, right? And I'm definitely one of these people. So these making these decisions is actually very hard for me. So if you're feeling like it's hard for you, just know like I'm usually right there with you. Um, and this obviously looks different depending on who you are. So I want to walk through some actual examples so that you can see yourself in this. Okay. So if you're a mom, and you're building a business on the side, category one is like the conversations with your kids that actually matter, right? It's the bedtime talks, it's the homework help. That's really about connection, not about math, because AI can actually help them with that. Thank goodness, because I suck at math. The relationship with your spouse, right? And in your business, it might be like the personal messages that you need to respond to in your DMs with your like potential customers, right? The coaching conversations that you might have to directly have, the content that carries your personal story that you need to write. Those are the things that might stay with you. If you're a network marketer or affiliate marketer on the call, right? Category one is like your relationship building tasks. So the actual conversations that you have to have with your team. The follow-ups where someone needs to hear your actual voice, not a template or not a prefabricated response that you've created. Training, where your experience and your story is the whole point of it, right? Um, the conversation that you need to have with that team member that's struggling and needs somebody who's been there before who really gets it. Okay, if you're in ministry and like category one is pastoral care, right? So it's the spiritual discernment, it's counseling conversations, it's sermon and teaching prep where you're hearing from Holy Spirit about what your congregation specifically needs from you. It's prayer. It's the moment when like you're actually interacting with someone's um, human soul, and that's a responsibility that's in your hands. Like AI is never going to touch those things, right? If you're a content creator, category one is ideas that can only come from your lived experience. It's not something that AI can make up, right? It's something that you've been through that's yours that you share. It's the final editorial pass that like your eyes actually have to do to make sure that it sounds like you. The conversations with your audience that build trust. Like, I mean, maybe at some point I would feel comfortable with my AI twin coming on and delivering this training to you guys. But there are things that I'm going to talk to you about that are my real experience that an AI twin wouldn't be able to share with you. So it's that face to face that you have to do. Um, if you're somebody who works a 9 to 5 job, but you've got a side hustle or you're wanting a side hustle, category one in your day job is like the meetings that you're in where your expertise matters. The client relationships, your actual relationships that you've built with your clients, the decision making that requires your actual judgment. And then in your side hustle, obviously, it's like the same things, like the personal touch, that personal touch that's you, that's only you, that can't be duplicated by AI. If you're an administrator or you're an office manager, category one is like the people management part of it, right? The judgment calls, the moments where somebody comes to your desk and needs a human to talk to them, not a system. So think about context when you think about this, right? Like AI doesn't have the context that you have as a human being. So these are the things that require your context, your judgment, your hands on them. So now I want you to go through your list that you just created, and I want you to mark down everything that falls into category one. I want you to put a one next to it. Okay. These are your protected tasks. These are the ones that AI is never going to touch. If you're not sure, maybe put like a little star, because we'll go through the next categories and then you'll decide. But like you'll know for sure that some of these things on your list are a one. So go do that now. Something you might notice as you're doing this is like a lot of those category one tasks aren't work tasks at all, right? They're life tasks, their presence with your kids, their connection with your spouse, their time in the word or in your Bible. Like those are category one, and they need to be treated like with weight because they're important. They're really, really important. And in an ever-changing and developing AI world and a world of technology, like these are the things that we need to protect. So go and mark all of your ones. Let's give you 2 minutes to do that. Okay. So now we're going to go to category two. And these are the tasks that have a repeatable structure and a clear standard. Okay. So these are where, like, this is where we're mining for gold. Okay. Because these are the tasks that are eating your hours that AI can handle the heavy lifting on. These are tasks that follow a pattern. So they have like some kind of defined output, and they don't require your unique voice or judgment every single time, right? And so again, these are going to look really different for each of you. So I'm going to give you examples again so that you kind of know what I'm talking about here. So if you're a mom, this is the time that you spend, or you're a human being, like we all spend time on this stuff, actually. This time you spend on meal planning and grocery lists, right? It's repeatable. It has a clear structure. An AI can literally draft you an epic meal plan in 2 minutes based on your preferences. And your budget. That's the thing that's so crazy. Is it possible to get? Yes, absolutely. I'll save them as a Google Doc and send them as a Google Doc in the future. We'll give both formats, PDF and Google. So yeah, we can definitely do that. Um, and in fact, if you'd like, well, yeah, I'll do that in the future. I was going to go do it right now, but I think it will take too much time for me to go in and pull it and reformat it. Um, but yes, great suggestion. I actually usually do that, which is funny, but this time we did PDF. So there you go. Should have stuck with the original format and the original plan. Um, so this is also like stuff like emails to your kids' schools, permission slip responses, scheduling coordination, your calendar, how you coordinate with your spouse and your kids and the after school activities. Um, Researching activities or things to do with your family, like summer camps, things like that. Um, Curriculum, if you're a homeschooling mom, like all of that stuff has structure, you know what I mean? And on the business side, like drafting social posts, writing email sequences, creating content calendars, summarizing what you learned in a training like this. Like if you guys all had your AI companions turned on right now, you literally could pull a summary of this training. So stuff like that. So that's like if you're a mom and you're building something on the side, right? If you're in network marketing, like your first drafts of prospecting messages that you then personalize, like drafts that you put into Boards app or something like that, right? Content for your social media platforms, follow-up email sequences to people that have opted into your offers, training recaps for your team. If you're doing team meetings, again, AI assistant that does a recap that you then send out. What else? Like product comparison posts, FAQ documents that like people ask over and over and over instead of having to answer those questions every single time. Welcome sequences for new team members, things like that. Things that you've been meaning to build for your network marketing teams for 6 months that have never gotten around to. You all know if you're in network marketing that you're in that, right? Like that's category 2. Literally, like AI can draft some of this stuff for you tonight. The stuff that you've been trying to get done for 6 months, right? If you're in ministry, sermon research and outline drafts. That's something AI can do for you. If you're leading small groups, like small group discussion questions, that's something it can do for you. Newsletter content, event planning communications, volunteer coordination emails, like the weekly announcements that take you way longer than they should, right? Administrative correspondence, grant applications, like the structure for a teaching series that you might want to do. Those are all category things, right? So your theology and your pastoral heart and what you're giving to your congregation, that stays with you, but the drafting and formatting don't need to, okay? You're a content creator. First drafts of articles and emails that you send out. Repurposing long form content to social posts. Like these are two things that I do all the time with AI. AI does all my pin descriptions and all my prompts for the videos that I create. It does all of my drafting outlines. Like for this series, it creates whole outlines for me of like what I should talk about. And then I go in and fill in the content, right? Um, what else there? Like summarizing your podcast episodes for show notes if you're a podcaster. Then like writing different call to actions, like variations that you can then test out on your social media posts. If you're working 9 to 5 and you have a side hustle, like in your day job, like drafting reports, summarizing meeting notes, writing your professional emails, creating presentations, organizing data, building project updates, and then with your stuff that you're doing on the side, like the content stuff that we just talked about, right? The admin tasks that we just talked about. It's about time compression with this category, right? This is where like AI can become a real lifeline for you. Because if you're working a 9 to 5 job and then you've only got 5 to 10 hours a week for your side business, and you're spending 3 of those 5 to 10 hours like writing emails and social media posts, that's not a good use of that time. And if you're an administrator, this is stuff like reports, meeting minutes, summaries, email drafts, document formatting, data organization, onboarding materials for new staff, like internal communications, SOPs, policy summaries, like the filing system you've been meaning to reorganize, your Google Drive that's full of 10,342 documents and you have no idea where anything is because it's not organized. This is all stuff that AI can do for you now. So now take your list, go write down everything that's a category 2. And be generous. So if a task follows a pattern and has a clear enough output that you could explain it to somebody else, it's probably a 2. And even if right now you don't know how AI could do that thing for you, like in your mind, you don't know of a tool, you can't like comprehend how AI could do it. If it's a task that follows a pattern and it has a clear enough output that like if you had a personal assistant, you could explain this to the personal assistant and they could do it for you, it's a category 2. Okay, so write that down. You're literally right now spending hours is where you're spending the majority of your time. Hours of your week doing category 2 tasks manually, and you cannot get that time back, right? And as you're categorizing these, just know that like these category 2 things can become time that you can put into your category one things once you've delegated them. So those things that are most important. Category two, go. Okay, so if you're noticing some things are both category one and category two, like there are pieces of it, yes, there are pieces of your category two that will have some one things on the end, but you've got to look at what of category two can be automated. So if it's like a 1, 2, you can put 2/1 if that makes you feel better. But yeah, so it's like uh, automating the part that can be automating. This is that thing where that's when AI is the heavy lifter, right? When it's the 80/20. So 80% AI is doing, and then there's 20% that you need to do. So it will move into those categories as well eventually. Okay. Now, category three. So, category three, nobody wants to look at this category. Like, category three is the tasks that you're doing that you probably shouldn't be doing at all. And this is where like some of our biggest time gains actually end up living, and they don't have anything to do with AI actually. So some tasks don't need to be delegated to AI, they literally just need to be eliminated. So this is like the scrolling that you're doing under the guise of it's research. This is tweaking your website or your content for the 15th time this month, rebuilding a system that's already working, reorganizing your files instead of creating that content that would actually move your business forward. And for a lot of us, it's saying yes to things like volunteer commitments or things out of guilt, or out of a sense of obligation when we actually don't have the time, or we're already running on fumes, or we're not doing things in our life that's actually moving us forward towards a revenue goal that we want to meet, or something that's actually going to be personally fulfilling in our life. Um, Comparison, like getting stuck in our own minds about like, oh, this person's so much further than me. And then like, then you go and scroll their content for an hour to see what you could be doing that they're doing. Like we're all kind of guilty of some of these things. If you're like if you're building a side hustle or something, category three might be like signing up for another course and consuming another piece of content that actually isn't going to move you forward. Um, Instead of implementing something that you already know, right? I say that with love because there are some things that are worth your time and worth your investment, but I see this action gap every single day with people where they just keep signing up for another thing and not actually taking action, which is why it was really important to me in this series that you guys take action on the call and after the call. Um, so like if you're in network marketing, category three might be like the 2 hours that you spend on a graphic that nobody asked for instead of having 5 conversations with real people that would actually build your business. Like I'm guilty of that. I want everything to look aesthetically beautiful and pleasing. So I'll go spend a ton of time on like graphics and content and making everything look great. And nobody really actually even cares about that. So if you're a mom, like category three might be like the Pinterest perfect birthday party planning that's actually for other people's approval, and your kid actually doesn't even care about that. They just want to have a good time with their friends, right? So this isn't about judgment of your choices or what you decide to do, right? But it's just to help you like really evaluate where your time is going. Um, so AI, as powerful it is as it is, it literally can't fix a task that you shouldn't be doing in the first place. So part of this architect mindset that we're developing today is being honest about what's necessary in your life, and what maybe you're actually doing to avoid something harder or scarier or more important. So mark your category threes off of your list right now and be ruthless with this, okay? So if there's something on that list that you wrote down that doesn't directly serve you, your family, or your clients, or your revenue, or your relationships, it's probably a category three. So go write down your category threes. Okay, so this can be an evolving list. Literally, I encourage you as you move through this week, you're going to be like in your week and be like, oh, I did this thing. Like, write them down. Write it down, keep a running list and keep categorizing them, okay? So I want you to look at the list as it sits right now. And if you did this honestly, you should be having a moment right now because most people realize that a huge chunk of their week is going to category two and category three stuff. Okay. And the category one stuff that really requires your time is the stuff that really matters, including like being present with your families, including petting your fur babies, your fur animals, is literally getting squeezed into like these scraps of leftover time that you have after doing all the category three and category two stuff. And that's backwards. That's actually not how we want to be living our lives. And that's what we're going to fix. Okay. Um, so like if you've got a side hustle, for example, and you've only got those 5 to 10 hours a week, right? Let's say you've got 10 hours a week and six of them or seven of them are going to category two or category three things. You don't have any time left that's actually moving the needle forward. But if AI starts handling the heavy lifting of the category two things and you cut out the majority of the category three things, now you've got time to actually move forward in your business. And that's the kind of stuff that actually changes things. And it's not because AI is magic, like it's amazing. But when you stop manually doing stuff that AI can do for you, or you stop doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing in the first place, that's when things start to change. Okay, so now we're going to build your workflow blueprint. And we're already an hour and 10 minutes into this thing. Of course, I am always like, oh, we're going to be an hour. You guys, it's going to be 2 hours. It's 2 hours. If you got to go, you got to go. You can come back and watch the replay, but it is what it is. I need to now I'm going to have to change and be like, it's going to be 2 hours. I don't know why. I'm so optimistic. Like, I think I'm going to just get through things and it's all going to be like, I can do it in an hour. I can never do it. I'm going to do a 90-minute masterclass 2.5 hours later. So those of you that know me probably already planned on this, but it is what it is. Okay, so we're going to build your workflow blueprint now, right? So this is the main blueprint. You're going to leave with this today. We've done all the prep work now. So from your category two list, I want you to pick three things, okay? And it'd be great if these are the three things that eat the most time or cause the most friction in your life. These are the things that you're like, oh, I don't want to do these things, right? Like when you think about doing them, you're just like, They suck, right? They're things you don't want to do. So pick three from your list. And for each one of those things, we're going to answer 5 questions. And we're going to actually answer them on paper, okay? Not just vaguely in your head. Like the specificity here is the whole point of this thing. And so we're going to do the first one together so you can see how it works. And I'll use an example from my own business, and then I'll walk through what it looks like for a few different situations so that you can kind of see it for yourself. So one of my category 2 tasks is my Substack articles and like repurposing them for social media content for Facebook and Instagram, right? So I publish multiple articles a week over on Substack, 2 to 3 typically. And every single one of those articles needs to become social media posts. And when I first started my Substack, I was trying to do it manually and it just wasn't happening. Like it literally wasn't getting done because it would take me so much time to actually go through and like figure out like, oh, what parts are people actually going to want to hear? And then the repurposing and then the creating the graphics and like the whole thing. It was just a lot, right? And I would just procrastinate it. And then I would spend like an incredible amount of time wasting money. And then I would get like one post posted. And yeah, it was suck. It was a time suck. I felt like a failure because it wasn't happening. And also by the time I was done like writing that article and editing the article and like even though it was AI assisted, I would just be like spent, you know what I mean? And it would just this was too much to even think about having to like now repurpose it into 5 pieces of social media content. So here's the 5 questions, right? So the first thing is, what is the task? So for me, that was taking a published Substack article and turning it into social media posts for Facebook and Instagram. Multiple posts per article with different angles and different hooks. Okay. Question 2 was, how long does it currently take me? So it's taking me at least an hour, sometimes more, and then the posting time, right? Question 3 is, what does a good version of this look like? So what does a good version of the output look like? So each of my social media posts needed to stand on its own. So someone who never read the article would still need to get value from it. That was like a standard. That was what would be good for me from it. Has to sound like me. It literally can't sound like a generic AI output. It had to sound like me, like I wrote it. The hook on it needs to stop the scroll always. Like people need to stop and be like engaged and want to engage with the content. It can't just be a watered down version of the article, right? It can't just be like the poor man's version of the actual article that I wrote. And I know that like the best social media posts pull one idea, right, from the article and then go deeper on that one thing. So like an expansion of the one thing, or to frame it from like a different angle that I came at it from with the article. Because if every one of the 5 posts just read as like, here's a summary of the article, like you're going to read one of those posts, then you're going to be bored and you're going to be like, oh, she's talking about that article again. I'm not going to read that. Right. So those are my parameters around like what would a good version of this look like, and also like what we talked about before, like what would make it not land, what would make it fail. This is the standards question, right, that we talked about earlier. So question 4 is, what information does AI need in order to do this well? So obviously it needs the full article, right? It needs my voice guardrails and guidelines document because it needs to know what not to do and what to do to sound like me. It needs to know who I'm writing to on each platform, like who my Facebook audience is versus who my Instagram audience is, because they're different. They're not the same. It needs to know what type of posts I want, whether that's a strong opinion post or like a practical tip post or a story driven post, right? It needs to know what kind of call to action I want on those posts, and like where I'm driving them to. So what that's AI needs specifically to know all of that information to do the job well. And then question 5 is, I need to know what my review process is. What do I do once I get the output from AI? So on this, for example, in my business, I read every post out loud because I catch things when I read out loud that I don't catch when I'm reading. So, um, And then I know it needs to get rewritten. I also will check it against my guardrails. I know the patterns that are in my guardrails. I know the patterns I want AI to avoid, and I know the things that sound like me. So I'm going to check it against that. I'm going to check to make sure the hook is strong enough that I feel like I would actually stop if I read it, right? And I want to make sure it sounds like something I would actually say. So see how specific that is in each of those questions? That's a workflow, okay? That's structure. That is completely different than me going to AI and being like, hey, turn this article into 5 social media posts. Like, I know what I want going into it. So I was going to give you a couple of examples so that you can go out and do this, but like, so for a network marketer who is writing follow-up messages to prospects, okay, that might take them 45 minutes a day because every message they're starting from scratch. And so that's what it's currently taking them. What good would look like for them within that would be that the messages look personal, they look warm, they reference something specific about the person. It doesn't sound like a copy paste template. So what AI is going to need is the person's name, what they know, what you know about them, the product details, and what your tone is going to be, like conversational, not salesy, right? And the specific next step you're inviting them to. So, and then the review process is you're going to literally read each message, make sure it sounds like something you text a friend. And if it sounds like a marketing script, you need to rewrite that, right? And if you're like, wow, how is this even going to save time? This would be something like you would go through, you would create a generic message that would be a response message depending upon what step of the pipeline they're in for you. But then you would go through your messages and you would quickly just jot down everyone's name, something personal about them, and you would go give that to AI, and AI would output all your messages. You would copy paste them into your DMs. And these are workflow things that I can like help you work through. If you're not, again, don't worry about the how of how AI is going to do this yet. We just want to identify the workflow. Okay. What's another example I can give you? How about like writing, like you've got to write a monthly like department report. You're an administrator that has to write a monthly department report. So right now it's taking you like 3 hours to get the data, to organize it, to write the narrative, to do the formatting. And so what would look good if AI took this task? What you would need is clear, accurate, organized, like information and data organized by the structure that your boss expects you to have it organized by, right? It needs to highlight what's important. And what AI is going to need to do the job well is like the raw data, right? The notes, maybe last month's report as a reference for how you want the report to look. It's going to need like specific wins or things that need to be highlighted in the report. And all the expectations of like how you expect AI to deliver the content. And then your review process is going to be like looking at the numbers for accuracy, right? Because AI sometimes makes math errors, and verifying that like nothing was phrased wrong or like any sensitive information was like made to be like overly generic. And then confirming that like it's the structure that you want. So now it's your turn. So I want you to take your first task that you wrote down, and I want you to go and answer all 5 of the questions. And write them down. Okay. So be specific and be honest, right? Like about the time one specifically, like how much time is this actually taking you? And include your procrastination, include your false starts, include the time that you spent like scrolling your phone while you were supposed to be doing it because you wanted to avoid it. Like what's actually happening, like the real number. Okay. And then like for what a good version would be, don't write like good content or a good meal plan. Like be specific, right? What would a good output look like for you on each thing? What makes it good? You need to be as specific as possible. What would make it fail? Make sure you answer that question. That's a standards question. What would make the content fail? So do task 1, okay? I want you to just go through your one task. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do that. You can come back to this after this call and expand upon these things, but I want you to write this down because you're going to have an actual workflow when we step away from this. Okay. So now you're going to do the same thing for tasks 2 and 3. So the same 5 questions, same level of specificity. And if one of your tasks is a life task like meal planning or household coordination or school communications or something like that counts. That's good, right? This framework should be working for everything that you're doing. So I'm going to give you 8 minutes. We're going to go 8 minutes for tasks 2 and 3 to do the same thing. Really take the time, you guys. Like, I know that this seems like a little monotonous, but I promise you, like, actually having the information about what you need is going to be extremely helpful when you're creating and building these types of workflows. And I want you to do it live because I want you to get into a habit of actually being able to do this stuff in your day-to-day life. And just so you know, like this is the exact, I didn't just make this up. Like this is the exact process that I go through when I'm identifying things that I want AI to take over in my life. Then we figure out the how. Like, how does AI actually go out and execute these things? But you don't need to know that part right now. You just need to know what would a good output look like for you for each of these tasks. Okay, so go do tasks 2 and 3 now. I can definitely answer questions about workflows when we're done. We have just like one more section and then I'll open up for Q&A. So, got about 4 more minutes to do tasks 2 and 3, and then we'll talk about workflow. We'll talk about AI, like actual tools for workflows. Okay. So look at what you have in front of you. Okay. Hopefully, if you did the assignment, you have three tasks mapped out with specific outcomes, specific standards, specific inputs, and you also, most importantly, have your review process, like what you need to do on your part after you give the workflow to AI. So that's what a workflow is. You literally just created one. And I know that people are like always using this buzzword, and people sometimes think this is like some big complicated thing. It's not. You literally just created three workflows for yourself. Okay. That's a system. This is the part that the majority of people who are using AI never do. They never actually create a system. They just keep going into AI and giving it individual prompts to do individual things. Um, and you just created something that's specific to either your life or your business. It's not some template that you downloaded from the internet that was somebody else's that you're going to go try to make work in your own life. Okay. So when you sit to actually work with AI this week, you're not going to be guessing. Like, you know what you need. You know what a good output is going to look like. You know what to give to AI to actually get that output, and you know how to check the work. So you just shifted in this moment from a user of AI to an architect of AI. You just architected your first three workflows. Okay. So one more thing before we jump into QA, and I think this part really, really matters. Um, Being an architect requires more thinking, not less. And you're probably seeing all these headlines right now about how AI is making people more stupid. And it is the people that are just using it like a search engine. Okay. The people that are using it like an architect are actually getting more intelligent. And that's fact. That's research based. Okay. And you may not want to hear that using AI with an architect mindset actually requires more thinking. Maybe you were hoping like less thinking was going to be possible when you used AI. That's actually not the reality. I think a lot of people hope that like using AI is going to require them to think less, but that's not the case. Okay. It reduces the execution time. Okay. You're not writing an email from scratch anymore. But you are deciding whether or not the draft that AI created hits the mark and is going to land with your audience. Um, you're not brainstorming from nothing, right? You have to still use your brain. But you are like able to like brainstorm with AI, and then your part is the curation. It's the rejecting the stuff that doesn't work or approving the stuff that does work. Um, it shifts from like creating everything from zero to being a director, right? And an evaluator of the stuff that's coming out. Um, but it does still require you. It does still require your human brain and your discernment. And that's actually like the gift, I think, in AI, really. Um, AI, when used correctly, will make your thinking sharper. I know it has me. Like, I think in ways that I never thought of before because of the sheer volume of information I can generate with AI, but I have to be discerning. I have to shift through all the information, right? So, it, when done correctly, it's going to force you to articulate what you actually want and to create a standard for yourself. And in that, knowing what your business and what your life actually needs. And most people actually haven't had to be that precise before or think that clearly. And that preciseness and that clear execution of thought, it's what creates success. The people that are successful have been doing this kind of stuff all along. They've just been doing it manually. And now they have a tool that helps them do it more efficiently. So if this felt like a lot of thinking today, good. That means you did it right. Okay. If it felt like you had to actually put yourself into it, good. So your homework is I want you to actually between now and tomorrow's session, I want you to run one of your three blueprint tasks through AI using the architect approach. Okay? So before you open the tool, you're going to answer your three questions. that I gave you at the beginning, right? You're going to write down your outcome, you're going to write down your standard, and you're going to write down rule, AI's role, sorry, in it. I want you to write it down. I don't want you to just think it. I want you to actually write it down. So, what's the outcome you want? What's the standard? And what is AI's role going to be? Then I want you to open your AI tool that you're choosing and direct the session based on what you wrote down and what you wrote down in your 5 questions. Okay. And I want you to notice the difference. Like, how does it feel different than how you've been using AI in the past? I want you to notice where the output is better and also notice where it still falls short because it's not going to be perfect the first time, you guys. Okay. I want you to write down one thing that worked and one thing that didn't. And I want you to bring that to tomorrow's session. We're going to use your real experiences from tonight as we move into day 2. And in day 2, we're going to tackle like the single biggest risk in using AI for content, which is losing your voice. Because your voice is really your biggest asset. And most people are just handing it over to AI without even realizing it. So we're going to stop that from happening. So you created a personal workflow today with 3 tasks. And I think hopefully you have a good handle and an idea on where AI should be doing the work in your life. You understand what a clear outcome could be. You understand that you need to have standards throughout this process. You understand that there is a review process in all of this, right? And then you've got the 3 questions framework you'll use in every AI session going forward. So that is our content for today. Now I'm happy to answer questions about workflows and where to take things based on what it is that you are trying to create. And let's see, our session tomorrow is, I think you've got a little bit of time. Yeah, so tomorrow it's going to be my evening. It's going to be my 8 p.m. So it's going to be 8 a.m. Eastern time on the 10th. Is when the next session is going to be happening. So I will be sending out an email with the replay of the call, with the workbook, which I will put in PDF and Google Drive format. So you guys can write in it. I will be sending out the workbook for tomorrow, so you can be prepared for that and have that printed out. And I'll be sending out the summary of this session as well, the notes from this session. So you'll get all of that via email. All of that will also be posted in the Facebook group. Okay. So you can go to the Facebook group for everything. You don't need to worry about the email. Some people get my emails, some people don't. You can always search your email box for Leah, Leah, at 7streams.biz, and it's all written out, 7streams.biz. So if you're not getting emails, you can definitely check that way. Yeah, and I think that's it. So I will open up for Q&A. If you have questions, you can come off of mute. I will look here. That will be late in Australia. So yes, all the replays will be posted in the Facebook group, and I'll also be emailing them out. So every day at the end of the session, you'll get an email from me. That one actually probably will go out my Wednesday morning because it'll be late. So we'll be sleeping. So we'll get that one out our following morning. But yeah, replays will always be put in the Facebook group and sent out. Love this, very streamlined process, amazing. So just so that you guys know, there are 4 sessions happening in my mornings and 3 sessions happening in my evenings. So I wanted to just kind of like mix it up so that everybody could kind of get an opportunity and a chance to be on live. I know it's in the middle of the night for some of you, some of them. I know it's late at night for some of you. I know it's early in the morning for some of you, but I just wanted to make it work so that everybody had an opportunity to be on live. So what tool you're going to use in the workflow? Does anyone have questions about that? Okay, yeah, go ahead, just ask and then we can chat.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
At this point, I'm thinking that just doing a video series, then I could use the video and audio. And so I need to know because I want to use that content for socials and other places as well. So if I capture the video and then what do I do with that?
Okay, so there's several ways to do this. There are some very good tools that can capture automatically create stories for you out of the video. Um, and there are tools like Descript and Opus Clip that are really good for that purpose, for like capturing like little clips, and they will do it automatically AI generated. I use a tool called Riverside to do that because I also podcast. So
Mhm.
it's another tool that does that really well, creates the magic clips and does editing. I use that tool just because I like the audio recording that I get from it. So Riverside, Descript, or Opus Clip for like the actual AI generated little clips of the video. Um, then also you can pull the transcript. One of the reasons I really like those tools is they will also pull the transcript for you. Riverside and Descript specifically pull full transcripts from videos. Then you can take that transcript into a Claude or a Chat GPT, whichever one you prefer, and ask it to pull and create social media captions or posts. If you want still images, that's a great example, right? So you record a video that you're going to share somewhere. And so you've got video content, you've got transcript, you've got audio content, right? From that. And you can then take the transcript and you can repurpose that into social media captions per platform and ask specifically, like if it's for Facebook, ask the AI tool to create specifically for Facebook because that's going to look different than Instagram. Um, Identify how long you want the post to be. How, like, does your audience engage more with long form content or short form content? So make sure that you identify that when you're putting it into the tool and telling it what to do. How you want it to sound. Is it conversational? Is it formal? Is it educational? Like, pick the tone that you want it to speak in for the content that you're repurposing. And then if you want you want to do a mixture. So maybe you want some that are going to be reels, right? That's going to be generated from a Descript or an Opus clip, but you want some still posts that are going to be text only posts with maybe an image. You can have the AI tool. For example, I would use Claude to do this because I prefer Claude. I would have Claude you would take the transcript, you would input it into Claude, you would say, I want five Facebook posts from this. I want it to have a clear hook. I want each one to have a different angle. It should sound conversational, like I'm talking to a friend, but I also want it to be educational. Make it no more than 300 words. And I also want a Gemini image prompt to go with each caption.
Yes, that's the thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah, yeah.
create that. Then
Uh-huh.
it's going to give you a prompt that's specific to the caption it creates. You're going to
Uh-huh.
take that prompt, and for me, I use Higgsfield because I like to do video generation. I do my own kind of like video generation and images. But Gemini Nano Banana is a great tool. Claude writes great prompts for Gemini. So you could take it literally into Nano Banana, drop your prompt in there, get your image, and now you've got your five posts that have an image along with them, and you've got your Reels content that's been generated from um, Descript or Opus Clip. And then what I do is I take, when you generate those AI video clips, it's going to give you the actual transcript of the words that you said. How I create my social media captions for those types of videos is I take the transcript
Mhm.
from that video, I'll put that into Claude and say, here is a transcript from a video, 90-second video. Create me an Instagram caption for this. Make the hook strong, make it sound conversational, make it no more than, whatever you want. 100 words or 250. Like Instagram, it can't be more than 2,200 characters. That's the character limit on Instagram. So make the caption, and I typically will be like, I like a third of that. So make it no more than 500 characters.
So Riverside, you also said Opus Clip.
Yeah.
So those are applications that if I'm going to do a video, I'd have them on my phone or have them on my computer, and I'm
Yep.
speaking right into that. That's what's going to record the video.
Yeah, so I would record the video in one or two places. If you need something to record the video into, Zoom is great. It has great audio, so Zoom is an option.
Uh-huh.
Or Riverside. I love Riverside. I think the plans start at $29 a month. So it's a really great place to capture video if you're going to be recording a lot of video. The audio is amazing. They do a magic edit. They also, so literally like AI will edit and take out your ums and your spaces if if you pause. So I like that about Riverside. And then it will also create those little magic clips for you. So it's kind of an all-in-one that I like, and I have a link for that if that's something that you're interested in checking out. Um, but yeah, so record in either Zoom or I mean, you can definitely just record on your phone, but it's sometimes helpful to actually have a tool like Zoom or Riverside because you can immediately download an MP4 that you can repurpose. And then like Riverside actually also will create the full transcript of the video for you. So that's one of the reasons why I use it because it's just very easy for me to pull all the resources that I need from it.
So that's why I'm figuring it just makes sense for me right now to just do the video, prepare the script. I can do that with other tools. Prepare the script, do the video, and then repurpose all of that. It just seems and it sounds feasible.
Yeah,
That just
it's
makes
great.
sense.
And Riverside also, like you could create your script in Claude. You
Mhm.
can put the script into a teleprompter on Riverside as well. So you literally can be filming the video and reading on a teleprompter while you're filming. And that's really awesome. And I do that often, like when I'm doing trainings where I have like a content heavy training or a
Yes.
content heavy podcast that I'm recording, I'll use that transcript feature where it's like I'm not literally reading it line by line, but it's guiding me in what I want to say so I know that I'm like not missing things.
Right. If I do that in Zoom, Zoom has a transcript tool, right?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that too. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to try them all. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have questions about where to execute your workflow? No? Okay, well, if you run into questions, um, I think all of you have access to me. Send me a messenger or put your question in the group. Other people might have the same question. Um, yeah, and that's it. So thanks for your time today. Have a beautiful and blessed rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world as you're watching this live or you're catching the replay. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is an exciting day because tomorrow we're really going to lock in on voice. It is so important. I cannot stress the importance of this part of this in every single thing that you're doing with AI. So I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to see what you build with your workflows. Um, Share in the group what you're creating, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.